What up, folks? This is your boy Dino, aka Solid Five, and you are watching Beyond the Ether podcast. So, I have two great guests with me this week. I have Joseph Federico, you've been on the show before, and b.j.minor. You know BJ from Scared to Death film recently, and
Uh,
a lot of other stuff. Welcome.
Thank you for having us. This is gonna be fun
This is a nice way to end the week too.
Yeah.
for sure.
So, Joseph, you brought a subject that I'm not very well versed into.
Mhm.
But it's very interesting, and and I was telling you guys off camera, but I like to learn things and just talk about stuff because sometimes I don't see things a certain way, because I just don't think about it a certain way, and
Sure.
so when it's brought to my attention, I'm like, oh snap, that actually makes sense now, um, so you brought the idea, not the idea, but like the question of like how much of horror or is horror gay or is it queer,
Mhm.
in a broad sense. So, and I never really thought about it that way until you mentioned. I'm like, that's a fascinating subject
Sure.
because there's so many different like nuances, to horror, and drag and queer, whatever you want to say
A
about it.
hundred
But
percent. Yeah.
yeah, so and for both, this is the same question for both of you, but like how as far as back as you remember, how like did you kind of like connect those things with the queer community and horror.
BJ, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, I think with horror and queerness, um, a, a lot of the times like the monster in the film is kind of like othered, and it's easy for I think queer people to relate more to that because the monster's being hunted. And I'm thinking of like one of my favorite all-time horror films, Silence of the Lambs. The villain's literally transsexual, Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
So it, it's a lot of overlap with queerness and horror and being haunted and being othered. Um, I've also just always related to the Final Girls in life, or like with
Yes, we have to unpack that too.
I've always just related to the Final Girls. I don't know any queer person who doesn't have like a little bit of main character energy in them. And that's just like on a lighter note of it, but definitely. Joseph, I know you're doing an essay on this, so you have a lot more to say, but that's just like a
Yeah.
little anecdote for sure.
I definitely wanted to gather the best of the best, and you guys certainly are the best of the best, in my opinion. And I'm only too happy to be here, but talk about it because I am doing a little research as I
So,
do have a background in journalism, so and authorship. But I'm gonna take it back even further than like the Final Girl or even like a Buffalo Bill and
Mhm.
go to literature. YA for me was R.L. Stein, and I used to read Goosebumps. And I
oh yeah.
remember specifically the mutant was very attractive to me because the show wasn't out yet, right? The series wasn't out yet TV wise, but reading the books and knowing something was different about me inside of me as a young horror fan, but also a future queer man. I had, read these books almost like gospel. And part of me wanted to understand why the mutant, why, as BJ had said, why the hunted was terrorizing, right? The characters, but there was something attractive about him. He had muscles and he was this comic book character. And I think R.L. Stein knew what he was doing while writing these books, especially characters like the mutant, because he could shapeshift and he only came out at night, as we were talking about earlier, in the
Mhm.
green room about like vampires. And but he was also a superhero. So he had the final girl characteristics in his character as well. And I found that really interesting. So I knew from a really early age, before I got into like hardcore horror, like Night of the Walking Dead and all of the
Mhm.
80s and 90s horror movies that came out. Um, I just knew from a very early age that I was different, but I was attracted to horror characters that were also different. So if
Mhm.
that all makes sense.
It all makes sense.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, my travel my road is a lot different than than yours. Uh, I and we talked about this in the past, but why I kind of became not obsessed, but I love horror films.
yeah.
Was because of the Faces of Death. And by
Mhm.
that was by accident, and like I wasn't supposed to see it, but I saw it, and it scared the shit out of me. And then once that description of like it's not real, like it's special effects, blah blah blah, blah, and then I was like, whoa, I gotta see more of this shit because this is crazy, and I gotta know how to do this. Um, but now that as I get older, I understand things more, and it's just the world has opened up, in a lot of
Sure.
ways. Um, but I don't know. I To me also, like the final girl, also is like, so the killer is kind of like society, right? And the,
Mhm.
the final girl is like is actually the other as well, because the killer is trying to kill them because they're doing all the stuff they're not supposed to do, right? Smoking
Mhm.
weed, having sex, drinking, um, and those are like the things that they act against God, if you want to put it that way, you know.
Mhm.
So um, you are doing the thing that you're not supposed to do, and you shall be punished for it. That's always kind of been my take on it. So
Mhm.
I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
In regards to the final girl trope, or
Well, and
just
just like instead of like how you guys said the monster is like the gay person, the gay or the queer, right? And the final girl is just kind of like surviving through the night. My
sure.
my
I
take on
mean,
it was like the final girl is like more resemblance of like the queer than the monster is to me.
right. I personally think that we're both,
Well, yeah,
because we as a society poke fun at and demonize people that are different,
right,
right? Which is terrible. And being queer myself, and I'm sure BJ can speak to this, is we're used to that, right? But we also look to the final girl and say, I need to survive at the end. I don't have a choice.
Mhm.
And I just think of like a Sidney Prescott character from Scream, my favorite series, by the way. Just because Scream 7 is still out now, and has done really well financially. But we're both, and that's unfortunate, but that's fortunate because I see a lot more queer
right,
directors,
right.
queer actors,
Yeah, yeah,
and producers creating more queer horror content that allows us to be the survivors at the end.
yeah.
Mhm. I think another interesting thing for me, and you can disagree on it, I think when it comes to horror, for the most part, it seems to always happen in like a really micro level. It's never like a world problem. You rarely see like horror movies that deal with like a plague and the government's getting involved and helping. It's always like within a small bubble, a small town,
Mhm.
um, a camp. And that kind of also to me feels like a level of queerness because we're fighting for our lives, but it seems like very little people are coming to help us in a
Mhm.
sense, which is very dark. And I think anyone who comes from like a marginalized group can also relate to that. It's rare that like even in Scream, Sidney Prescott has been running for her entire life, but it's not like you see the US government getting involved. It's always like at a local level, you
Yeah,
Right.
know?
True.
And I think that's what makes a small, like, relatable section between queerness and horror. It's the victims of these films aren't really being helped.
Mhm.
They're not really talked about afterwards either.
Mhm.
Same thing applies to like trans people and queer people in real life. They go missing, but little is done to find them or what happened to them, and that's an actual sad reality that a lot of
Mhm.
people deal with. So we get to see like in this fictionalized form with horror.
That's an interesting perspective.
yeah.
100%. I would have to agree.
I wanted to make
Now,
a white face joke, but I was like, where can I put that in there?
hmm.
Because
um,
you said like the like if you're trans or queer, they're not gonna put you on the milk box.
Yeah.
So most of the time. So
They
not that they do anymore, but
as in exactly as in society would rather just forget about it, and if
yeah.
they're missing,
And
that's not how I feel by any means. But
that's exactly what happens in the movies. And I have a dark sense of humor, unfortunately. But so I'm always thinking like, okay, they just killed that person, and then they're forgotten for the rest of the movie. Like
right,
we're moving forward, and that's kind of how life also treats like queer people, trans people, people for POCs from marginalized groups. You never actually see them, their faces posted or stapled anywhere. Like, where is this person? So I always find like a lot of relatability with most of the characters in horror films.
sure. I mean, you said it too, BJ. The character of Buffalo Bill was
Mhm.
very relatable, and when I watched it as a younger adult or teen, I didn't really understand. But as I it became a favorite of mine
Yeah.
during a few different rewatches. Um, Definitely more relatable, definitely intriguing.
Hmm.
But didn't he recently come out? The actor came out recently and had said that that was a misrepresentation of a trans person. I think in the news recently. So I find that interesting too. That all these years later, different actors are speaking in favor of the proper way to represent the queer or trans community, and I find
Hmm.
that really comforting as well,
Yeah, for
um,
sure.
because we need allies in order to push forward.
Yeah.
Well, to add on that, I and forgive me for this, but I've never seen Rocky Horror um
Oh,
until today. I
I
started
didn't
watching
even
it,
think of Rocky
I,
Horror
I
as
and
agree with
like,
until
you.
today I
Yeah.
started watching it because I was trying to like find like movies that were like that kind of like inspired by horror and stuff like that, right? Because
mhm,
that I watched half of it so far, but half of them, so some of that is inspired by classic horror films, right? They make fun of Dracula, they make fun of Frankenstein,
mhm,
so stuff like that, and like so Tim Curry's character, he's like, I'm a transvestite, and it's like, well, that's kind of an outdated term,
it
because that's
is,
like
yeah.
what the late '70s, is that when it came out? Forgot, or
It
seven,
was a stage show, I think, in the UK, right, first, and then it became
some I forget, then
a
theatrical
film. Yeah,
release,
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing screamed like way outdated. But I was like, oh, like I don't know, but to kind of add on to that, what you were just saying about like misinterpretation.
Yeah,
When I just watched that, I was like, oh, like this is like a couple of decades off, but uh, we're here.
but it's still so poignant in today's
Yeah,
society, and it's
right,
still like an underground thing, but it's become a lot more popular over the
Mm.
decades
and celebrated. Yeah,
and celebrated. I mean, isn't there a new one coming out, or there's press
Is there?
going about this new? It's
I don't
here.
know,
That would be
no idea.
sick. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, like it's all over my feed. I mean, obviously because I'm into horror and all the
Send it to me. I want to
LGBT
read about
fun rainbow alphabet stuff. But
it.
um I remember watching Rocky Horror for the first time when I was a kid, like after school, like as a teen. And I thought I was doing something dirty. Like I was almost watching like something pornographic, but it wasn't pornographic.
Right,
It
right.
was on like HBO or something like that, like a channel that we didn't really have very often. And I remember watching it. I was so intrigued and I was turned on by every single character, every single line, especially
So
when
funny.
Frankenfurter, goes to all the rooms and he has his way with all the characters. And I was like, oh my God, is that possible? Like, what does that say about
You're all
me?
writing notes.
I'm like, that stirred up because I wasn't out at the time that I was, had watched this
Yeah.
movie, and it definitely stirred up a lot of interesting feelings within my person.
Your young little feeble mind.
Yeah, I'm like, that's interesting, and it was horror, so it
Kind of.
was
It's
it was
more of a
delivered.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just a musical with a lot of different themes, comedy. A little bit of
I was gonna say comedy.
horror influence, but not really horror. Um,
BJ, your take on the whole Rocky Horror
Um,
phenomenon?
I so in college, I it was the first time I saw Rocky Horror, and I was introduced by my lesbian friends during Halloween, and I had not known it was such a cult classic.
Uh
And they
huh.
and they took me to this theater that puts on a live performance simultaneously while you're watching the
Mhm.
musical. And I was just like, this is a whole thing. I had no
Every
idea.
year.
Every year, I was just like so impressed. I was like, this is really cool. Because you get to see a little bit of everything. You have drag culture in there, which I've always
Yes.
loved. I've always loved drag culture. It's like this like grandiose underground, still kind of underappreciated, even though we have like RuPaul's Drag Race. I still feel like it's underappreciated level
Mhm.
of performance. So it's like queer coded throughout the entire thing. You get the jock with like you're getting every kind of like sexual trope that I think belong that is like embedded in queer
Yeah.
culture. You get high feminism, you get damsel, everything. So I loved it when I first saw it. I was like, this is that shit. In such a fun way, in such a campy way, which also is queer people. We love camp. We're the people of camp.
But horror is camp too. Horror
Yeah.
Exactly.
has always camp, even if it's not.
Yeah.
And horror is also drag. So
So
and I learned that recently from a sociologist I had interviewed for the essay, that his take was that horror is drag. So I found that really interesting. Yeah.
yeah, no, that makes total sense. Like RuPaul said, we're all born naked and the rest is drag.
That's
I
it.
mean, that is true. Yeah.
End of episode. Cut.
Okay, have you guys ever seen Cruising with Al Pacino?
No.
No.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Oh my
No.
goodness. That's a horror film I recommend because it deals with specifically gay culture and cruising. And that's like something that's like kind of embedded in queer culture that can obviously take a dark turn. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we have like uh now lots of apps that can make things happen really quickly, but
Mm-hmm.
there's this kink within the community where you go cruising and it's just like just making eye contact. You're having a conversation with someone without having a conversation that leads to sexual acts. But Al
Mm-hmm.
Pacino plays an undercover cop who's straight, and he is doing a case for a man who's been killing men within the gay community via cruising. So he's going
Oh,
undercover trying to
Mm.
find the killer.
that's
Um,
interesting.
so it's very like Jeffrey Dahmer-esque, but a lot more leather, a lot more S&M, a lot more Eagle for anyone who watches and knows how to frequent a bar like the Eagle and stuff
Uh-huh.
like that. I highly recommend it. It's dark, but it's fun.
So I wonder if
And
he like does he arrest the guy at the end? He's like, say hello to the bad guy.
I, I don't want to give away the ending because the ending's quite ambiguous.
I'm
Yeah,
so intrigued that
I
that
gotta watch it
reminds me
now.
of a few different things. So Ryan Murphy did an American Horror Story, I
Yes,
believe.
exactly. It's that, like, but before.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so he definitely was utilizing um, or paying homage to other queer movies.
Mhm.
That was a terrifying season, by the way, but it was also sad because it was an allegory for the AIDS crisis,
Mhm.
and it was very well done. Ryan Murphy, I hear, is a dick, but
Oh
he,
no.
I, I just heard,
I've never met him personally. I have no idea.
but he does period so well. Like the music brings you back to certain, decades or times in your life, and um, I also heard that people have worked with him think, have said that he's an absolute genius, and I agree
Yeah.
100%. He's really cornering the market, but that season in particular was really scary. But it reminded me of another book. I'm not sure if you guys had read it. It's like a thriller novel called Bathhouse,
No.
Haus.
Okay.
I forget who the author is, but I highly recommend. It's a very easy read. It's a page turner, but it deals with cruising in a bathhouse and
I know
how
a couple people
characters
who I haven't
interact.
read it myself, but I've met a few gay writers who specifically are writing things based off of that. So
Right.
it's not the first time hearing about the book.
Um, a must read, not just for Halloween, but for any time, at least in my opinion. But I was going to ask you, I both with your different perspectives, isn't the queer experience just horrific in general? And I think that's why gay men or queer people are so attracted to the genre itself? Loaded question. Loaded
It's
question.
it's such a loaded question. So to bring some like reality into the queer experience, yeah, it can be horrific. I will gladly say I'm not experiencing that, but it can absolutely be horrific. I mean, just the the fact going all the way back to like having to come out, like no one straight has to tell their parents like, "Hi, I'm straight," and you know don't have to worry about being unhoused after that, like in
Mhm.
your entire life. It can absolutely be horrific. And then when you become an adult, uh, you're trying to find a tribe that is relatable. So you're always feeling like other. You don't know if you can be yourself at work. You don't know if you can be yourself at home. The queer experience is pretty much a horror film in its own. And then there's the nightlife can be its own scary thing. Like chemsex is like a huge thing within the queer community. Like
Mhm.
we have a huge problem with substance abuse. Like it can lead down really a lot of dark paths if you don't get a hold of it and get with the right community for sure.
Sure.
Um, thank God that is not my story, and I pray for all the babies that are experiencing that because
I
I have
know.
some friends who ended up in some really dark places, uh,
Yeah.
and it's scary.
Even as you had mentioned, like cruising, not the film, but in reality, that's part of the queer experience,
For sure.
or can be, not for everyone.
Right.
Uh, I do remember there was a club. I'm not going to say which club or where, but there was a club back in the day that the back row was known as like the cruising spot near the woods.
Right.
And I didn't participate in that, but I heard,
And
I
no
was
judgment
just
if you do. No judgment if you do. Just be safe out there. Just be
the
safe out there.
I can
folklore.
show you where it's at, but I'm not gonna.
Right, exactly. So just to protect, because I think it's still a functioning club, which makes me happy, but that's a whole different conversation. But I remember hearing stories of like, don't go to the back row because you're gonna get picked up and the X, Y, and Z will happen to you. And that in and of itself to me was horrific because I wasn't used to being thrust into queer society, and it was scary, at least for me. And but also like Rocky Horror or reading other books or what have you, or living experiences also was intriguing. So that danger was also kind of exciting and sexy for me.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
That's so
So
real. It's so real. And then, well, if you also just add, because we were talking about like Ryan Murphy's American Horror Story that dealt with like the 80s,
mhm.
the historical relevance of HIV and AIDS, like that they made that the gay disease, and
Mhm.
that also is terrifying. Like it makes you afraid of looking yourself in the mirror because you're like, am I going to die just for being gay? That's also
Right.
um so yeah, and we're still experiencing that. I mean, we obviously have like medicines advanced to where we have like PrEP, which is preventative for HIV, and we have
Mhm.
Doxy, which helps
So
with
important.
STIs. But still, I mean, it's very embedded in gay culture that people are going to cruise. You're going to have anonymous sex with sometimes multiple partners throughout the night, and
Mhm.
reality is, I could wake up and have something that's lifelong.
Right. Exactly. I do remember, speaking of again, bringing it back to reality, back in the day when I was finding my group and we were in Manhattan going to all these, bars and clubs and bar hopping, and that's when that was a thing. Not to date myself, but many moons ago. I remember hearing a real life horror story of one of the gentlemen that I had known from work, or within that friend group, had had um had passed, and he had purposely spread the disease
Oh
to
no.
partners, and that scared the hell out of me. Not just by being associated with it, knowing that it's, of course, it's not airborne or anything like that,
Yeah.
but
Right.
just hearing a story of young gay gentlemen at the time, over 20 years ago, purposely spreading um a horrific disease to other members of our community was just absolutely horrifying to me. So
Well, because it's what makes it even scarier. It's death through intimacy.
right.
Like
Right.
isn't that a terrifying thought? Like
Natural
the,
sin.
Just in
the
general.
doors are closed. I'm trusting this person with my body for the next however long amount of time. It's death through intimacy. That's scary.
But it's very real, but
Yeah.
now there have been so many advances in technology and medicine. But that reminds me of what we were talking about as a group collectively before we hopped on, was about vampirism. You had brought this up, BJ, so I think kind of flip the script and just kind of
Segue.
unpack, because it is death by, as you had just said. So
Yeah, I think there's such a connection between like gay culture, queerness, and vampirism. Just even talking about like gay nightlife, we are the night walkers when we're going to these underground raves. And we're in these enclosed spaces. And as you mentioned, in the green room, vampires sleep in coffins, we're literally closeted. Our exchanges of turning come through this idea of sucking the blood out of someone in a very intimate way. It's a lot of layers of some gay shit there.
many, many, many layers that we can pierce through, pun
Yeah.
intended, and unpack in this episode. So, I mean, even the character of Renfield, kind of becoming a halfling, and that could be repped maybe as him being bisexual. I'm just reading this, having read the books, being a big fan of True Blood and vampires, and writing that queer lit myself, watching the original 1930s, film Dracula. It's so unique, but there's definitely a queer aspect to it, that Dracula is this sexy night walker that gives life through intimacy, like essentially, and the exchange of fluids, which you can interpret that however you may,
Yeah. I mean, I loved True Blood growing up.
My favorite.
I had to watch it with my older siblings. There's no way I could watch it with myself.
Yeah.
And it was True Blood was so gay. True Blood was so gay, and all the guys were so hot.
Oh,
Like
every single one of them.
insane. I was just like, are they allowed to show this? This is like porn.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I've only seen like one episode.
Oh, it's
which
wild.
which one was that?
I think it was like the first episode. I think I
Oh,
started
the first
watching it.
episode was so good, when like Bill comes and he
I don't
goes,
remember.
okay, and then
It's been a long time. I don't remember anything about it, so just never got
I
into it.
mean, but all of the characters, all of the vampire characters, they said pretty early on in the series that they
They're
were,
all
pretty much
bisexual.
bisexual,
Yeah.
which made it, I think, you know, attractive to a wider audience, because it was really for everyone.
Hmm.
But isn't that kind of like always the kind of like undertone of vampirism is like even the men were like always kind of teasing that they were like bi, and obviously this is why True Blood does that.
Yeah.
And it's so like there's always been a joke about it, like I just saw Once Bitten by with Jim Carrey, the old the first movie he was in, the 80s movie.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
the lead the black dude, the vampire, he's like super bi, and they kind of like poke at that all the time, and or I don't know if he's bi or gay, but he's pretty much gay. Like it just
Pretty
you
much
can
gay.
watch it and you're just like this dude's like he's straight up so whatever, but like they've always teased they've always kind of poked at that about
Mhm.
either bisexuality or just like a fluid sexuality, so that was kind of my take on like vampirism as well. So
Yeah. Isn't that how, sexuality really should be, though, is fluid? I mean, I myself once came out as bisexual because I wasn't 100% convinced, or I was too scared to come out as gay, back in college
right.
or early
Oh, you
20s.
were a vampire. I love that.
I'm sorry.
I said you were a vampire. I
I am
love
totally a vampire.
that.
Questioning, like, how am I going to, but but not just convincing myself, but actually living, my truest self, which I think is a testament to the vampire characters, starting with Dracula, and even in True Blood. But flipping the script a little bit, very queer, and they, I think, wanted to get rid of the character pretty early on, but he was too popular, was like Lafayette. And
Yes.
he was sexy, he was funny, he was such a great actor, and I know that he had passed, so rest in peace. But that was a major part of the entire series, was really his his character and the way he interacted with other characters. um
Yeah.
and they eventually made him uh he could speak with spirits, so that was like an interesting take on, also I think, the like queerness of his character.
Yeah, Lafayette was such a special character because for anyone who hasn't seen the series, he's this very like physically imposing queer black man, but he's
Mhm.
expresses his femininity in such a beautiful way. He's always wearing like a headscarf. He always has his makeup done. He loves to be sassy and very zesty, but he's quick to put a drunk patron in a headlock if he gets out of line.
Mhm.
So he's like the gay black queen you don't want to fuck with, or you're gonna be
Mhm.
embarrassed in front of your homies, your straight homies.
Yeah,
Such a fun character. I wish I saw more characters like that on television. Like
we
a
need more
very
characters like
feminine,
him.
a feminine person who can handle themselves and protect
Yeah,
themselves and not needing, even though it's beautiful to see like community come to someone's defense, it was beautiful to see Lafayette being like, oh, I don't need help. I can handle you by myself.
a
Yeah,
hundred percent
it's like
himself too. Yeah.
100% authentic. Yeah, such a good character. That's a good reminder. I love that character.
That one scene early on in the series where the rednecks were having, like, cheeseburger deluxes and fries, and
Yes.
Arlene comes in. She's like, oh, like, don't get involved, it's really not a big deal. And he goes, well, who was it, like, who's complaining about my food? And she pointed over to the cute, dumb boys over at the table, behind her.
Who ordered the hamburger with age?
I ordered the hamburger deluxe.
In this restaurant, a hamburger deluxe come with french fries, lettuce, tomato, mayo, and eggs. Do anybody got a problem with that?
Yeah. I'm an American, and I got a say in who makes my food.
Well, baby, it's too late for that. Faggots been breeding your cows, raising your chickens, even brewing your beer long before I walk my sexy ass up in this motherfucker. Everything on your goddamn table got AIDS.
You still ain't making me eat no AIDS burger.
Well, all you gotta do is say, hold the AIDS. Here. Eat it. Oh, bitch, you come in my house, you gonna eat my food the way I fucking make it.
He comes out, he takes his earrings out, and he's like, who ordered the cheeseburger with the AIDS? And he calls out the blatant bullshit. And it was uncomfortable to watch, which I think is also important, part of pop culture and queer, storytelling, and how misinformation can be spread, especially
Yeah.
among those that are a little bit more naive and
Mm.
uneducated. And he explains, he's like, the queer people, we have been doing your hair, making, breeding your cows, cooking your food for centuries, and you had no idea. And now is not the time to fuck with me or the queer community. And then he said, next time just say hold the AIDS. And then he like punches out the entire table.
Oh my goodness.
And then like deadpan. And then he's like, be sure to tip your waitress. And he walks back to the kitchen.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go watch
Oh,
that
yeah.
after this. It's so good. It's so empowering. It's so good.
I gotta, I
Man,
gotta, I gotta check that out too. It
I
sounds
feel like
amazing.
Lafayette anytime I go to WeHo in a skirt. I'm like, period. I'm here.
That's it.
Yes.
If they were to recast that show, you should be cast as Lafayette.
Oh, absolutely. And I had
That
the
would be
case.
such an honor, and I would love to see that happen,
I,
honestly.
I have such a case because I literally played Mike Tyson. I know how to throw a punch. Like
Uh-huh.
it would be so sick.
What a fun conversation this is thus far.
Yes.
Um, I'm going to pass this, I think, to D Note. How about Miss Tina
Ruh-roh.
Romero? I want to hear how that was and what your thoughts are on her debut film.
Oh, Tina is wonderful. So BJ, I don't know if you know, but Tina Romero is the daughter of George Romero.
Okay.
And she did a film recently called The Queens of the Dead. And
Oh,
so it's a zombie movie, but in drag.
Mhm.
You got to see it. It's wonderful. It's on streaming
It's
now.
so good.
Yeah,
I will
I
definitely.
saw it the opening night in theaters because we knew that we were going to interview her. So once we got the word, I was like, I got to see this movie like now, like as soon as it comes out. And it's like from start to finish, it's very entertaining. It's funny. It touches on modern drag and sort of like the kind of making fun of like the people that are still having a hard time with labels and stuff like that. And then it goes into the horror aspect of like them surviving the night and etc. But yeah, she her story is just very interesting, and her dad was very supportive, which is great. Of her growing up to talk to him about it and stuff, and he's like,
Mhm.
and her response was, I was trying to get her on today, but she's busy, so she was like, oh, she's like, when I told my dad, he's like, oh, don't worry, guys are assholes anyway. And I was like, because she comes out as well. I don't know if she calls herself lesbian, but you know, um, anyway, and then she, after years of kind of back and forth, she finally was like, I'm gonna write this movie. I'm gonna make this movie. And so with the village help, they all came together and they made the movie. Um, and I think it's on Prime, and as far as I know, it's on Prime right now. And
Mhm.
I think it's on AMC Plus as well.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, so check it out. Queens of the Dead. It's really fun watch. But yeah, it touches on the drag community, which I know very little about. I've been to one drag show and it was amazing. It was fun. They know how to party. It's like it's fucking crazy. And yeah, and that's why I was so like, when I was talking to her, I was like, man, this is like a dream come true because not only is your dad the fucking legendary, undead zombie creator,
Mhm.
but also you're also like he passed the torch to you in a way, and that you're bringing it to a wholly totally different direction as far as you know, like your take on the queer community and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
it was for those that are listening, fucking watch it. It's amazing.
Nobody else had done a film like that really,
Not as zombie, but there's a vampire one though,
yes,
which I did
but
see
the
also.
the drag queen, perspective was unique.
Yeah.
They called out the hookup culture like immediately, like not to speak to, to ruin it for
Well,
anyone,
and
but
social media too.
yeah, and social media, the hookup apps,
Yeah.
and but also, you know, queer men being uncomfortable with themselves that turn to drag to feel like the final girl, to become the final girl, to save her, her fellow queens, but also her friends.
Right.
Oh,
And that
and
was really powerful to watch as well, at least for me, not being a drag queen myself, fully supported, having only gone to one drag show myself, like a drag brunch, which was phenomenal.
so
But
much.
seeing that in real life, I mean, play out within that film, that felt like real life, was really powerful.
Do you know if Tina cast like real drag performers and if there's any that we might know? I haven't seen.
I think one at the start of the movie, I think one famous one. Um, but I forgot. I have I forgot. Like I'm
Okay, no
looking at
worries.
the,
I'm gonna
but
check it out.
yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a couple at least.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
But check. I'm telling you, like it's a good watch. Definitely a good watch.
it's funny. It's super
Just
queer,
everything. Yeah.
unapologetic. I think Dominique Jackson is in it from
Oh,
Pose.
propose. That's so
Um,
cool.
we actually had the opportunity
Is
to
that
meet him
Scrumptious?
last year. Huh?
Is that the guy that plays Scrumptious?
Dominique's a trans woman.
Trans.
Oh, never mind. Okay, just kidding.
She was very so she was at a trans art event last spring, and she was one of the hosts, and I was just too tired. I just went home, and she was walking in, and I did a double take. I was like, "Is that Dominique from Pose in Morristown, New Jersey?" That was one of my biggest regrets, not going up to her and thanking her for her work. So, if you're watching, Dominique, please, I'm sorry.
Well, I'll tag her just to remind me.
Yeah.
You never know. I'll try to look up to see like who was in it, but yeah, for sure there's at least one or two that for sure that are um so I was also mentioning not only the whole zombie thing with Tina, but there's a movie on Tubi called Slay. And it's about a group of drag performers that go to like this like middle of nowhere biker bar, right? And this is like redneck country, right?
Mhm.
And uh and so like they show up and and the owner is like, "Are you sure you're in the right spot? Like, what are you doing here?" And the story unfolds later on that they were invited by somebody in the bar, and there was a there. So two people actually know that they're there. They're like, "Oh, we're huge fans. Can't wait for you to perform." And there's like kind of the cattiness of like the drag community, and then also like you got the rednecks like what the hell are you doing here? You're not welcome around here. Stuff like that. And I actually interviewed one of the guys that was in that movie too. But yeah, so it all goes to hell. Vampires come out, and so it's the queens versus the vampires.
Oh,
And then it plays out, and it's a fun movie. It's watch it on Tubi.
that sounds like a fun Friday night film that I'll have to watch with my partner later.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
I just looked up the cast of Queens of the Dead, and they have Nina West. She was a contestant on Drag Race, so they
Okay.
did have a drag performer in it. I'm not familiar with anyone else that might do drag. Like, I'm a huge Drag Race fan, but Nina was a contestant.
Okay. It was a great film. Whoever's
Yeah.
watching, and to also BJ, I certainly recommend that as well. It's a fun watch, with a twist at the end, of course, because there has to be. And I hope that there's other films like that that queer members of of our community are unapologetic in their writing and their producing. It's just extremely important. So, but Anne Rice too was an ally, and she created this whole world of vampires that has become a lot more popular as well in our society. So,
No, I'm not familiar with that.
highly recommend Anne Rice. Her
I mean,
major
I've
crush
heard the
on her
name.
son Christopher Rice. He's currently in California. She had passed when I got back. Actually, I just saw her house 2021. I was there for Christmas in NOLA, her old house. And she had just passed.
Hmm.
And she has a series, her team has a series on AMC Plus. So I highly recommend watching that as well, with all the hot and sexy
What's the
bisexual
series?
vampires that come out of that.
What is it called?
Interview with the Vampire,
Oh, okay.
but
All right. All right.
Oh, yeah.
it was a book series.
Yeah.
Then it was a movie in the 90s with Brad Pitt and
Right.
I forget who else.
Uh,
Um,
I
Tom
remember he
Cruise.
got he got so much
yeah,
shit for
Tom
that movie.
Cruise.
Cruise, yeah.
Yeah, because who was the one that kissed the was she 12 years old or some shit like that? Like there was that scene where like he like kisses her on the lips like really fast. Um,
Oh,
was it Brad Pitt? I forgot. One of them does.
I
I
think
think I think it was Brad Pitt.
was that Brad Pitt that had. I think so. I think
Yeah,
so.
and like there was so much like media storm about that because obviously she's way underage,
Sure.
and like but that was the only thing that happened during that scene, and but like they were trying to like get rid of it. They were trying to cancel the movie, all that shit. Which
But it's in the
obviously,
book. It's actually in the pages of Anne Rice's, novel,
yeah.
that this, Claudia character was this young vampire that was turned. I think she's actually younger in the book. I think she's 8. And Anne had written that because her daughter had passed, I think, of cancer. Um,
Uh,
so she wanted to write a
Was
character for her daughter to deal with it. Yeah,
right.
It's
Oof.
a beautiful way of expressing your grief.
100%.
Yeah,
And
you have to.
I also recommend, there is a Christopher Rice and Eric Shaw Quinn, both queer authors, quite popular, really handsome gentlemen. Um, just came out with a documentary about Anne Rice, and it was like her final farewell in New Orleans. And it's streaming. I think it's maybe HBO Max or maybe Paramount Plus, but it's out there too.
Okay.
If you're a fan of her work, yeah, or them, yeah.
So I just like, since we're on the subject of more modern day stuff, like I didn't really know too much about like queer media, like or as far as like horror goes,
Mhm.
So like the first one that like kind of made a splash more recently was They Them, because
Mhm.
it was streaming on something. I forgot what maybe not Prime. It
I
was
think
streaming on
Peacock.
something. Oh, was it Peacock? Okay.
I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And it was like kind of controversial because like it was I forgot why, but just because I guess it's part of the queer community. But and like but I remember it making a splash. I'm like, why is it so like controversial if it's just like talking about a certain group, Like
Mhm.
Mm.
I don't know. It doesn't things like that I, don't affect me, like how I guess some narrow-minded people do. But I was like,
Well, you just answered your own question because they're
right, right.
demonizing,
A certain
that
group, yeah, yeah.
group of people, and that's why it was so controversial.
But before that I haven't seen anything in a while. That's kind of my point also was like or at least that I'm aware of, you know.
Right.
So that was like the first big splash in like a while that I've even got whisper about. I was like, but then I didn't really deep dive. I'm too lazy to deep dive into like before that stuff.
Uh-huh.
So,
Uh-huh.
what has there been any like for you guys? Has there been other films recently in the last I don't know 5 years that like that kind of stuck out to you?
Hmm.
That were queer specific?
Yeah,
Not really. I mean, my head is I have a one-track mind because of the recent Scream that came out, Seven. Well, that wasn't queer necessarily. I mean, just the whole final girl aspect is always intriguing. Um, I don't have an answer right now. How about you, BJ? I'm gonna pass the
Yeah,
baton.
no, me neither. That's a good question. Yeah, I think, well, I mean, the blanks alone show that we still need more representation, right?
I was thinking that like it's pretty apparent that we need more queer horror, you
Mhm.
know?
More queer horror,
Yeah.
more queer characters that last longer than a couple minutes, more queer characters that are more central to the story and less like side characters, is definitely a thing. Going beyond just being like the comic relief,
yeah.
and being like seen as like real individuals with real motives uh,
Mhm.
and things they want to achieve in this life. That will add like another level of relatability and connection between straight viewers and queer people in their own lives. They'll be like,
Mhm.
oh, this person reminds me of maybe a friend I have, but I can see them in a broader sense because they're not just the comic relief. So yeah,
Sure.
definitely there's still a lot more work to be done within the industry. Um, Unfortunately, I do think the current administration and climate makes it a little bit more difficult, and it's becoming more of a protest again after we've done so much work, to it be just a normal slice of life. But yeah, we have to keep creating and making space for queer lives to be expressed on the big screen.
Mhm.
Well, it sucks that it's taking so long, but at least it's happening now. There's a lot of stuff coming out now that's you know, queer positive and in that direction. So, but I overlooked something that I wanted to bring up earlier, and I totally forgot about it. But one movie that like it didn't really get talked about more recently, not so more recently, I guess, at least in the last like maybe decade. But Nightmare on Elm Street Part Two. That was like a
Oh,
hugely
yes.
heavy, coming of age, as the lead character is coming out as homosexual, right?
That's
And
Mark
like
Patton, right?
I
That actor.
forgot, yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't like I don't know. As a young kid, I didn't like put the two and two. I'm blind to that shit, So, but like, as I got older, I saw a documentary and I was like, oh, that totally makes sense now. Like the whole thing was
Yes.
to fucking open up your view to his coming of age and all that shit, and Freddy Krueger being the protagonist about this is your punishment for being coming out as gay, basically. So
He got a
um,
lot of shit for that for many, many years. And in that documentary, I think there may be like a few of them.
yeah,
But I think we're talking about the same one, I hope. Um, where he finally confronted the director or the writer like years later,
yeah,
and he still didn't get what he needed from that. Um, but he built his career around that, or being a part of the representation and what that means to fans all these years later, which I also found really empowering, but really fascinating. And said at the same time that he couldn't be himself as the actor
yeah.
after that movie had come out. He was also in. This reminded me of, because the actor was the film Swallowed or Swallow. Um, he plays a bad guy in that too, and it's more of a thriller than a horror film. I'm not sure if you guys have watched that.
No.
Well, what was the film called again?
Swallowed, I believe.
um, is that the one where? Okay, you said swallowed, but I think there's also a film called Swallow, and I don't want to get them mixed up. Where
Mhm.
a woman, she's like a housewife who swallows things. No.
Oh no,
Okay.
I didn't know about that one. So we just taught each other something.
Yeah.
No, this is, without giving it away, it is one of the gentlemen that was in a Ryan Murphy. He was a Menendez brother.
Okay.
I forget but he's gay in real life, and he's really cute, and he's the main character, but he plays a straight guy, I think, in that film, and they have to swallow things as well. Not in a sexual way per se,
Okay,
but
I was
it's
gonna
a
say
play on
what.
words.
Sure, play on words.
It's not
There's like a glory
pornographic,
hole in the
but
back.
Is that Cooper? Cooper, I don't know his last name.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went viral because what was it? He was like on Andy Cohen's show where he was talking about how his manhood is real, and I guess it's he's well endowed.
Yes. That's mhm.
That's
And
him. Okay.
I absolutely believe that. So
Good for him,
good for
period.
him. Mazel tov.
uh,
Yeah. Hmm. But Mark Patton is he's struggling too. I think he had some health issues, and he had a few GoFundMe's, and um if anybody's listening, just go follow him and see if we can support another queer creator, because he's the grandfather really of queer horror, in my opinion.
Mm.
So yeah,
modern day.
just get
Yeah.
back.
I want to try. I want to try to get him on now.
He's wonderful. It's like sad what happened to him, because he was this out gay kid back in the 80s. Yeah. But as
Uh,
we're saying, we like why is everyone so afraid to create these gay characters or these queer characters in these films? Because we're a large demographic. We have a lot of money that we could be possibly, putting behind these films or
Right, for
supporting
sure.
them. And why are people afraid? But we know why. So
and also kind of like as to why there was such a huge explosion of horror films in the 70s and 80s was because a lot of the church was behind them, to scare all the teenage kids, right? So,
true.
again, that's like part of the reason why, like, if you're gay, you're gonna die, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the message behind all these slashers and and whatnot, because they were being funded by a majority of, or well, maybe not all of them, but some of them by the church. So
Propaganda.
yeah, and it works. People get freaked out,
It works. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Wow.
Well, do
Religion
you
can be
guys?
scary.
What was that?
Religion can be so scary.
I mean,
That could be scary. Well, like, how many demonic movies are, or based off of being afraid of demons, right? And the devil.
For sure.
yeah. I
Exorcism.
think just have
And
like being
That sells
heavily.
too. That sells too.
I think just having a belief in something so hard can be dangerous. Whether it's religion or not. So
Mhm.
that's definitely a danger as well. So
You're right.
Maybe that's the monster in every horror film.
Oh, that's deep. That's amazing.
That is.
Well, I think we ran a course this fine hour. Do you guys have any closing statements you want to talk about? Is horror a drag? Is horror queer?
BJ?
Yeah, horror is totally drag. This was so much fun. Thank you guys for having me on. Like, this was sick. What a good conversation too, just about the relatability between horror and just every corner of humanity,
Mhm,
especially queerness. Like, I think we all have something that resonates with us within horror, especially queer people. Like I said, people, anyone who comes from any sort of like marginalized group. I think it's good that we have a space where we can see ourselves, but also see ourselves overcoming something dangerous. Because for the most part, I think horror usually ends, and with a little bit of ambiguity that there's hope.
mhm,
So I would love for us to hold on to that and keep pushing forward so that everyone can feel represented for sure.
mhm. I would have to agree. Having done some research, as I had said myself, and speaking with you gentlemen, and having been a fan of the genre for 30 plus years, but also writing it myself, right? Because I also publish, queer horror and being obsessed with creating characters and tropes and, like allowing it to be marketable, but not being afraid of it either. I think it's really important for creators. And I would have to agree, BJ, that horror is drag and there's nothing to be afraid of, because sometimes reality can be more terrifying than
Mhm.
um, like anything in a horror movie or in pop culture. So we need more creators, though, to become themselves and to come out of the coffin, per se, and just create for a brighter future. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I, when you brought these questions to me, I was like, interesting, because the way I saw it was obviously we're aligned as far as like how we see horror and also like just being different, right? So
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, I think in a lot of ways horror is queer, and drag. Um
Mm-hmm.
Even if like not necessarily my lifestyle, but I see what you mean, and I agree with it. So um yeah, that's it. There's a lot, at least there's a lot of good stuff coming out, there's a lot of representation of the community and whatnot. So but also like I mean not just the queer community, but even like ethnic wise, there's a lot of more like, just representation of every different parts of different cultures, which is
Mm-hmm.
great. Which we need. We need stories from, different parts of the world. So
So necessary right
yeah,
now.
why do the same trope every year, So you gotta switch it up.
I don't want to see a white girl in every freaking horror movie. Come on, that's
Yeah,
boring. That's
yeah.
boring.
Like we've done that long enough. We've done it for like
Enough is enough, girl. Come on.
And if anybody wants to cast me in the background as whiteface, I'll be down.
that's insane.
I love that. I love that.
Oh shit! If Chappelle could do it, I could do it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, well, that's it, guys. I appreciate you guys' time. I know the weekend's coming up, and I gotta, we're all busy, we're all doing shit. So, for those that listen to the show, we are Beyond the Ether podcast on YouTube, Spotify. Also, if you want to contact me on Instagram, I run the main account, which is Beyond the underscore Ether, and my personal account is Kelly underscore DTO. Joseph, if you have any plugs, please do.
Sure. Yeah. If anybody wants to talk social media or marketing or horror, they can actually text my work phone directly, 973-289-3517, or find me, Joseph A. Federico, on Instagram.
BJ, do you have any shout outs?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at b.j.minor. That's B.J.Minor. I have a new horror movie called Scared to Death that just had a run in AMC theaters. It's going to be streaming May 5th. Follow along my journey to see where it's going to be streaming at. You can also see me recurring on Peacock's Bel Air and playing Teenage Mike Tyson in the Hulu series called Mike, acting opposite of Harvey Keitel. And I have more things coming up.
Yeah, I briefly ran into you at the house at
Yeah,
Altadena. So that was a great experience.
thank you. It was so much fun. They killed that. The
Oh,
PRT.
yeah, it was great. I loved every second of it. Although I was pissed off, I when I was recording on my camera, like my sound was off. So I was like, fuck. I was so pissed. So I had
The
to like,
spirit, the spirit set you up. The house
I
is haunted,
know,
man.
I know.
The house is haunted.
So I had to put just music in the background. I was like, oh fuck it, here we go. So anyway, again, thank you guys for joining, and I'll be talking to you guys later.
Thank you so much, guys.
It was amazing.